Welcome back to the Mind Body Project. Thanks for taking a little time to join me today. So many times in life, don't we hear all the different ways to be victorious in life, all the great ways to have victory in life. There's all kinds of YouTubes, TikToks, Instagrams, all these things that say if you do these things, you'll have victory. Well, first of all, what is life victory? It's all a little different for all of us. But today I want to share, because we always hear do these things for victory. I want to share the 6 major anti-rules for life victory. The 6 major anti-rules. First one being, be anti-average. How do you know if you're average? I've shared this many times, and I'm going to share it once again because maybe, say we're average. What does average look like? I'm an average human being. In mathematics, we know how to get an average. You add them all, divide by however many you added, that's your average. Well, what if we have 5 people? How do we know what the averageness of those 5 people? How do we say, I'm just average? Because don't we, when we say if somebody's average, we might compare them to others. Well, it depends on what your comparison is and how you do that as to average. So it's easy to fall into the average category. But what does that look like? What does that mean? How do I know if I'm average? If at the end of the day, you say, I could have done better today. I could have done better in that thing. I could have done better with that conversation. I could have done better in the way I delivered that news. That's being average. When we do each thing we do and say, I did that to the best of my ability at that moment, then that's being anti-average. Because average is going, yeah, that's good enough. That's good enough. How many times at our job do we go, that's good enough. That'll work. I mean, I was guilty of that. Worked for a lot of years in a factory, putting parts together, putting wire harnesses together, and we'd have to get so many of those each shift, and I go, yeah, that's good. That's what they told me to do, so that's average. But what I did is I just spread my work out over that whole 8-10 hours, which I really could have done more. But that's what they told me. I'm gonna be average. But really, each time I got done the shift, I could have done more. I really wasn't giving my best. I was just spreading out my work. So I was definitely average. So for life victory, be anti-average. What can I do more? Can I say a kinder word? Can I do a better deed? Can I love just a little bit more? Can I give just a little bit more at work? Can I take on a little bit more? What more can I do to be the best version of me today? What more can I do to be the best version of me at this moment? Man, I don't feel like it. But if I do this a little more, that's really the best version of me. We don't always feel like being the best version of ourselves, but those are the moments that count. Those are the moments that we're anti-average. So, major rule number 1, anti-rules. Be anti-average. What about, the second one is, be anti-superficial. Whew, man. Sometimes we see a lot of that. Don't we see a lot of superficial people? Don't we see, sometimes we see it a lot on social media. And we see, I see all the time, I follow a lot of different exercise pages on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, it's super easy to make an exercise look really good and fun in a 30-second to a minute clip. But, it didn't make it do all this crazy stuff. It looks really cool for camera. But is it functional? Is it something that's going to make a difference? No. But man, it looks really cool for this, to clickbait, to get you to click on it, go look at their profile, to click on to, check out this on my page, go buy this, whatever it is, it looks really cool for that. But that's not, you're not going to do that and look like that person. But we think that, oh, if I do that exercise, I'm going to have a six-pack abs just like he does. No, that's not going to happen. It just looks cool for video. So isn't that what happens sometimes when we're superficial? It just looks cool, or it just looks like it's the right thing to do for everybody around us. And we want to be anti-superficial. So what does anti-superficial look like? It's just the opposite of superficial. It's be your authentic self. Be your authentic version of yourself. But you know what? Here's the kicker to this one. To be the authentic version of yourself, you first have to know the authentic version of yourself. And maybe there's been too much time of being superficial that you don't realize, you don't know who that authentic version is. You have to do some searching. You have to spend some alone time. You have to do some time reflecting and thinking about who is the authentic me. Who is that? What does that even look like? And we may have to spend some time on that before we can start being that authentic version. We have to find out who that person is. And so that's being anti-superficial, is being authentically who you are. Being authentically who you are. And sometimes looking at yourself and say, that's who I authentically am, but I need to be a little bit better. So you work on that and you become a new authentic you. And I think anytime we do improvement, self-improvement, and work on ourselves, we become a new version of ourselves. And we're always, a 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. Aren't there better versions of software? Well, we're no different. We should have a better version of us each year. We should have an upgrade. If we're the same version as we were last year, there's a problem. There's an issue there. We should be a new version every year of some part of our life. Should be a new version, a new improvement, because we should always be a continuous, the mind-body project, a continuous construction zone, a continuous project, a continuous building to be better. Next one is be anti-cynical. Don't be so cynical of everything. Look for the good in things. Look for the good in people. Wow. What if we did that? What if we looked at the good, for the good in people? Don't be so cynical. The world has taught us to be so cynical. But there's good people out there. There's good things out there. So we need to be anti-cynical. Look for those good things. What's good about that person? Not just they've done all these bad things or, Look for the good. Look for the good in things. Look for the good in situations. So there's so much negativity going on that we sure could be cynical all the time. But that sure is depressing. Who wants to be depressed all the time? We're talking about life victory. If you want to be a life victory in life, be anti-cynical. Look for the good. The good in things, the good in people. And when you start doing that, it's kind of like when you buy a new car and you haven't seen it around, you buy it, and then you start seeing it everywhere. Start looking for the good in people. Start looking for the good in things. Before you know it, it's kind of like that car. You start seeing good everywhere. You start seeing good in that person, good in that person, good in that person, good in that thing, good in that situation. Wow, the goodness came out of that. Oh, I like that. Start seeing good all around you. But first, you have to work to it and not be anti-cynical. You have to be anti-injustice. Stand up for what's right. Stand up for justice. Stand up for what is right as humans. Stand up for it. What is right, stand up for that. Don't let injustice happen. If you see it around you, stand up for it. Stand up and help that person. Sometimes they can't stand up and help themselves. Be that hand that reaches out to help them up. Stand for things that you believe in. Stand for things that are right. Not for this race, this gender. Stand up for what's right for humans. We're all human. To the core, we're all human. Stand up for the right thing. Stand up for the justice as a human. We take everything else out. We're human. Stand up for that. Number 5, be for a life victory. Be anti-interruption. Whew. Stepped on your toe there, didn't I? Anti-interruption. What does that mean? It means be patient. Be a listener. Somebody's talking. Don't already formed your whole thought and trying to come up with a response, and you didn't even hear what they said. Your response didn't even match anything they said because you weren't listening. You weren't being patient. Be anti-interruption. One of the greatest things I've had the opportunity to do with the Mind Body Project, with my other podcast, My Hometown podcast, is I get to sit and listen with guests. I get to be a listener. I get to be patient. I get to let them finish their thought, their story, before I say anything. Sometimes maybe while they're talking, the only other thing I perform is I ask another question because I want to know where that led to. Lead me somewhere else. That was interesting. Man, that fascinates me. I feel that same way. I have to be patient, let them share, have to be a listener. What if we were all better listeners? We all started being anti-interruption. We're talking about life victory here. Think of all the things you can learn by listening. I've learned so much about people over the years from listening. In other words, I try not to let them get in the way, and I listen. People will tell you who they are. They'll tell you what their dreams are, what their desires are, what their likes and dislikes, what their passions are, what their purpose is. We just have to listen. We just have to sit there with open ears, and they'll tell it all. But so many times we don't take the time to listen. Being victorious in life is caring about other people, and part about caring other people is listening. Being anti-interruption. Don't be in a hurry to get your own story out. Somebody will listen to your story. Maybe not that person, but maybe somebody else will. But give that person the opportunity to talk so you can listen and be patient. The last and final one to be to live a life of victory is be anti-fear. Whew, that's a big one. Anti-fear. There's so many things in life we're scared of. So many things in life we're scared of. I was scared of this podcast. Over 100 episodes, I was scared to hit the record button. What are people going to think? What are they going to say? How will they react? 16 years ago, I was scared to become a personal trainer. He's an overweight guy. He's still overweight. What does he know about exercise? What does he know about diet? What does he know about changing lives? What does he know? The fear. Starting a business. What if I fail? What are people going to say? What are they going to talk about? If I don't do things right. Man. The things that scare us are things we grow from. And so many times we live a life unvictorious because of fear. If you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do? That's living a life of anti-fear. If you couldn't fail, what would you do? How would your life change? I'm still guilty of that. There's things that I think about that if I couldn't fail, would I do them? I sure would. Am I doing them? I'm sure not. I'm sure not. Some things in my life that fear is holding me back. What if? What if I lose all my money? What if I lose all my friends? What if I lose? What if I lose? What if I start back to square one? All these things that we're scared of. I always like to say success lies on the other side of fear. Think about anytime you're successful. Then you have to go through some fear. Man, I sure am hungry. Room sure is dark. I sure am hungry. Room sure is dark. I gotta go through the dark room to get to the refrigerator. When I get to the refrigerator, go through all the darkness, all the fear. Success, I feel pretty good. I got to the refrigerator, I get to feed my belly. All the success I've had has come on the other side of fear. Been fearful of a lot of things. Sometimes I push through them. Sometimes the fear gets me. It blocks me. I let it be a barrier instead of an obstacle. An obstacle we go over, around, or through, down, or under. A barrier stops us. We can't get around it, we can't get over it, we can't get through it. So to have a life of victory, be anti-fear. Having a life victory starts with you deciding, are you going to live by anti-rules? Or are you going to live by being anti-average? Are you going to live by being anti-superficial? Are you going to live by being anti-cynical? Are you going to live by being anti-injustice? Are you going to live by being anti-interruption? And are you going to live by being anti-fear? Life victory lies on the other side of all those anti-rules. Be all of those, then you'll live a life of victory. Thank each of you for stopping by and joining me and visit with me a little bit today. I'd love to connect with you, and you can do that by just going to my website, aarondegler.com. All kinds of ways there we can connect. I'd love to connect you with in any way that works best for you, but I'd just love to connect with you. I'd love to help you live by these anti-rules and have a life of victory. And as I tell my wife every night before I go to bed, bottom of the ninth, double A, out.